just tell you this. I've done like 3 videos, I think, connecting to the fact that I was telling you that there was going to be some kind of predictive programming around Elvis's birthday, starting from the night before Elvis's birthday all the way until the 11th. And I explained why you have to watch those 3 videos, okay, before you watch this. But if you're gonna watch this, then make sure you watch those other 3. But um, so I was explaining all the, you know, the things that happened those days, and there was 2 things that one thing I missed it is just beyond belief that I missed it, because I overlooked, and that's what's going to be in this video. Just going to be a short video, and folks, make sure you watch this video. Make sure you comment under the video after it's loaded, and make sure you thumb up this video because it's super. It shows 100% that it was the twin connection to this, okay? And like I said, I missed one piece of the puzzle, Watch and see what I'm gonna show you what it is. But before I do that, let me just give you a little bit of let me lay some groundwork on this video. It's gonna be quick, okay? So you know that let me show you this real quick. Give me a second. So you know that where the shooting happened of that girl by the ICE agents right before Elvis's birthday, the night before, it was in Minneapolis, right? Minneapolis is one of the Twin Cities, right? And so right there is the first connection with twin, right? Of course, I showed that in that video. Okay, now, so Minneapolis is one of the Twin Cities, right? And there was 2 killings. Get it? All right, over there, Minneapolis had the shooting of the girl, and then you had the George Floyd, right? And George Floyd was killed on 5/25, and his birthday is on 10/14. Same thing as Charlie Kirk. He was born on 10/14, but a different year, like 20 years later. But anyway, so those are those 2 connections too. But look, and I told you that George Floyd died in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The area code is 612, and 612 backwards is like 216. August 4th is the 216th day of the year, the day Trump gets his head wound, which is Obama's birthday, but Trump gets the head wound on that day, August 4th, right? I'm just shooting through all the fast stuff. I mean, the stuff I've already shown to get to the new stuff. So August 4th, 216th day, it's the backward numbers of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the year that George Floyd died, the biggest story after the George Floyd, and also that same year you had the 19th sickness, right? Nonsense. But so the Beirut explosion, the biggest explosion we've ever seen in reality, that actually we can say that it actually happened. It was on 8/4/2020, and 8/4 is when Trump gets his head wound, and the clock hands for 2020 military time, it would be 8/4. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is that the biggest other biggest story besides the George Floyd and that 19 thing, you had that connection on this date. It happened. Okay, and the reason I'm bringing this up because it happened the same year as Floyd, and it connects to the 8/4. Like I said, George Floyd died in 2020, and look at this. From Martin Luther King's death, the other, I'm just connecting it to a black guy. You know what I'm saying? And George Floyd, from Martin Luther King's death date to George Floyd's birth was 2020, and then he died in 2020. You understand? Okay. And everything connects to my prediction of June 11th and August 4th, okay? June 11th is when Washington State gets struck. From Martin Luther King's death date, from his death date to George Floyd's birthday is 6 months, 11 days in between. And I told you Washington State is going to be struck on June 11th. Okay, and you'll see how there's a Washington connection to this. Okay, but before I show you that, George Floyd, he died on 5/25. His age was 46. So you have 5/25, his death date, and he died at the age of 46. And JFK was 46 years, 5 months, 25 days he lived. You see that? The 5/25 and 46? George Floyd died on 5/25, age 46. 46 years, 5 months, 25 days. You see? And this is to JFK's birth to JFK's death. Okay? So I just connected the MLK, JFK, and the 612 area code of Minneapolis is the 216 backwards, which is the day Trump gets his head wound. Okay, and I told you everything connects with Trump and Elvis, and my two predictions of Washington State being struck on June 11th and August 4th being Trump's head wound. Okay. And here's the one piece of information that I did not know until a viewer brought it to my attention. Here it is. The address of the woman that was supposedly killed by the ICE agents was 55 Washington Street. That was the home address of this person who's married to a woman, supposedly. And see this name right here? I don't want to say it, but it equals 55. 55 Washington Street. You can't make this stuff up. Okay? And supposedly she died on near 33rd or between 33 and 34 Portland Street. And what is 3334? 67. Elvis equals 67, the 6-7. 6 times 7 is 42. Washington's the 42nd state. Elvis died at the age of 42. But anyway, she died between 33 and 34th Street, Portland, near Portland or something, street. The street. Cross street. Portland, get it? Like a port, like a portal. Anyway, you have Washington as her address. Okay? Now, here's the big connection, okay? Which I already showed, but wait till you see the connection. So, you remember I told you that from George Floyd's birth to his death was 17,026 days. 17,026 days. Remember that number, 17 and 26. Because that's how many days George Floyd lived. God equals 2617, you see? 1726, 2617 is the word God. Okay? And this is what I missed. See, I already had this in that video. Okay, I had this connection already made. But this is what I missed. Guess what day that Renee Nicole Good was shot and killed? On 1/7/26. You see the numbers? How did I miss this? I have no idea. It's 1726. Just like George Floyd, from his birth to his death was 1726, man. Okay? I told you it was a twin death ritual. Okay? Which of course equals the word God. Okay? Do you see how perfect this is? I mean, come on, man. Now you understand what I'm talking about? You can't make this stuff up. Anybody have any questions before that's all I want to show. I mean, it's so, like, I knew, how did I miss that? I have no idea. Like, what was I mean, what's funny is no one even in the video told me. When I was doing the video. That's what was weird. Anyway. I forgot. What's wrong with me? She's born on 4/2. That Renee Nicole. She's born on 4/2, the 42. Get it? She was born in the year, I think, 88 when Trump was 42. Because someone, hold on. When was Renee Nicole Good born?
Renee
4288. That year, Trump turned 42. He wasn't 42 at that time because his birthday comes after her birth. But he turned 42 years old in 88. You understand? He was 42 in 88. She was born on 4/2/88. And I just explained to you, her address is 55 Washington. Washington. And she's born on 4/2. Washington is the 42nd state. Elvis died at the age of 42. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, and she was 37 years old, which is the EL connection because the numbers 3 and 7 looks like the letters EL. Okay, EL means God in Hebrew, and and she even has the EL in the name Nicole. And God is the letters O God. OGOD is the word good. Oh God, like in the Bible. And Nicole has the EL. And the letters NICO, which is the word coin, COIN, that equals the word king, which actually equals my name, Garo, GARO equals the word king. But her name equals EL King in the middle, Nicole, and then Oh God in the end. And Renee means, someone told me, means rebirth. Someone just said that she has an IMDb page. I don't know what that means, but I mean, I guess everybody's an actress on television, if you know what I'm saying. All right. What does the name Renee mean? Yeah, it means to be reborn or born again. Someone told me that in one of the comment sections. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's right. Nicole Brown Simpson. She was killed on 6/12. That's the area code for 6/12. Minneapolis. I can't believe I didn't catch that one either. She was killed on 6/12. Nicole Brown Simpson, OJ's wife. Yeah, good catch. I bet you didn't know it was 6/12, did you? The date it happened. When was Nicole Brown Smith killed? I mean Smith. What am I saying? Nicole Brown Simpson death date.
Nicole Brown Simpson was murdered on June 12, 1994, along with Ronald Goldman.
6/12. See? And that's the area code from Minneapolis, Minnesota. You see what I mean? Yeah. Great. Great comments. Anyway, you see, it was 6/12/1994. Let's real quick. Let's do it since we're here. Let me check from that date. And you know she has that vibe too. If you look at, man, hold on. Hold on. Where's the, of course it doesn't look, they don't look alike. I'm not saying they look alike, but it just, that side, the hair like was to the side the way they had it. I don't know if you could see that. But my camera shows everything backwards. Like this is my right hand, but everything you see backwards for some reason. Anyway, let's look at the amount of days in between the two deaths. 6/12. I can't believe I didn't check that. 6/12/1994 to Yeah, I don't see any. I don't see any numbers connected. But just the name alone connects. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, the point is what I was showing with the numbers. How did I miss that? The date being, and it was the day before Elvis's birthday. The night actually it happened on the night of Elvis, right before Elvis's birthday, and the news was really big the next day. You know what I mean? All right. So if there's nothing else, folks, which I'm just gonna end it here. Let's see if Floyd connects to it. Oh yeah, right. A lot of Nicoles, Nick Shirley, the kid who went around exposing the the Minnesota child care stuff, whatever, fraud, and then Nicholas Maduro, yeah, Nicki Minaj, wow, yeah, good ones, and the girl's name being Nicole Good. Yeah, that was good, man. Good comments. Yeah, there's definitely some connections here between the, but nothing that I want to show. Huh. All right, folks. I think I'm going to end it here. Oh, they lived supposedly 7 blocks apart or 6 blocks apart, and 17 minutes or 7 miles. One of those. What am I saying, man? Seven, 17 minutes or let's see. I don't know what I'm getting my because I see I have too much numbers in my head right now. What was the distance between George Floyd and Nicole Good's death? Less than 1 mile. 6 blocks in between. I was talking about their address. I mean, where, I don't know what I'm saying. I saw somewhere, oh, they lived close to each other or something like that. Like 17 minutes from each other or something like that. And you know how important the 17 is because that's where Trump's going to get his head wound on August 4th, is in Ohio, the 17th state. And that's why you had that Q being 17. Trump was born 17 years before JFK. I've shown all these things over the years, folks. You got to watch my videos with all the 17 connections and everything else. Yeah. I'm looking at your comment. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, yes, it was like 6 blocks apart, you know. And like I said, she supposedly had 3 husbands. 2 of them were men. One of them was her last one was a woman she was married to. This Renee Nicole Good. Supposedly she had 3 kids from 2 different dads. I don't, I'm not gonna get into that. But we know what. Look, on this channel, we call these stories unbelievable stories. Right? But of course, if it's on the news, it's got to be true. You know what I'm saying? We can't deny we can't deny when it's on the news. You know. But anyway, everyone in the chat, I mean, everyone on my channel knows what I think about it. Anyway, I just proved that it was a twin ritual because Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth. Okay, please listen to anyone new. First of all, make sure you thumb up this video before you go. So Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth, okay, or was sacrificed at birth. And Trump is the replacement twin for Elvis's identical twin that was sacrificed. Because there can only be one true Antichrist. And that's why Elvis is the real Antichrist, but Trump is the image of the real Antichrist. And what does that mean? Is because, see, when Jesus came to the earth, okay, he was God in the flesh. All right, he's God in the flesh. But at the same time, when God was in the flesh, God was in heaven as the Father. Okay, do you understand? That's what they're doing. Elvis is playing the Father God in heaven. Trump is playing the part of Jesus, who's going to be, and Trump is going to be crucified, and he's going to rise from the dead. Okay, but of course it's all going to be counterfeit, but they are going to do some kind of ritual, you know, when all of this takes place. Okay, so um but Elvis is the real deal. Okay, Trump is the image of the Antichrist. Anyway, so what you're about to see is the biblical beast out of the sea revelation on June 11th. In the Bible, it tells you that when the beast rises out of the sea, which is going to happen in Washington State on June 11th, the beast that rises, one of its heads seems to have had a head wound, a deadly head wound that was healed, and the world wondered after the beast. So what better head to get the head wound than the head that compares himself to Elvis? Trump. Trump is the one who's going to get the head wound on August 4th, which connects to the beast out of the sea revelation, who gets one of its heads gets a head wound on June 11th. So June 11th is the Washington State catastrophic event. It's going to be an attack, most likely. But June 11th, the beast out of the sea event. Elvis is the beast out of the sea. Okay? I told you, Elvis died at 42. Washington's the 42nd state. And look, and remember, I just told you that girl was born on 42. And that year that she was born, Trump turned 42. Look. So not only is Trump going to get his head wound on 8/4, but this June 11th event in Washington State, pay attention, okay? This is Seattle, which is in King County. Elvis was known as the king, okay? And this King County is named after Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elvis the King lived and died. Martin Luther King was killed before Elvis died, but he lived in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee, and that's who's named after Seattle's King County, is named after Martin Luther King. Anyway, so what were they calling this place during the 19 sickness? Because this is the first place that got struck in America, was Washington State with the sickness, the 19 sickness. And they were calling this place the CHOP zone. CHOP equals 42, CHOP. Why were they calling it the chop zone? Because they're going to chop this off right here. You see this right here? That's Elvis's head. You see his hair? His hair? This is Elvis's head. That's why it's going to get a head wound. Okay, Washington State, the Beast Out of the Sea event on June 11th is going to have another head wound. Okay? Something's going to happen over here that's going to take out a big portion of Washington State. And then you're going to have the August 4th event where Trump gets his head wound in Ohio. And you know, the next 9/11 is 6/11, right? The upside down. And the word Washington equals upside down, which I've been showing for years. Okay? And you know, the 9/11 happened in Manhattan, which is in the Big Apple, and Washington State is known as the Apple State. Okay? Do you understand? It's all connected. And what was Seattle originally known as? Look, what did the white settlers call Seattle before it was Seattle?
Before Seattle became its current name, the early white settlers called the area New York. Then New York.
See? Are you kidding me? So Seattle was called New York, and Manhattan was in New York. The first 9/11. I mean, 9/11. Now you're going to have the 6/11. All right. Are you guys getting it? All right. I mean, listen, I could keep going on and on with the connections. Okay, we're talking thousands and thousands of pieces of info because it's how many years we're talking about. That's why you have so much information, because they have to keep embedding all these things into the ether. Okay, because unless it's in the ether, it doesn't exist. It has to exist in order for it to be real. Okay, that's why you were seeing them doing these things. All right. Anyway, like I said, you need to go to the live section of this channel. That's where all my videos are. All right. I mean, where all my recent videos are. Go to the live section, watch the last 7 months or 8 months of videos. All right. Anyway, and just make sure you watch all my Washington State June 11th Elvis connections, and make sure you watch all my Trump August 4th Trump headwind connections. All right. Anyway, end of video. Make sure you watch this whole video from beginning to end, and make sure you thumb up the video and comment under the video. End of video. Jesus is God.